which pets are low maintenance? So what do you think?
Great question,
Albert?
Internet. What pets are low maintenance? I love this question. So when I was in tech school, and this is a long time ago, this is in 2003, 4, something like that.
Okay.
We took an exotic pet class, right? I had to take an exotic and lab animal class. Rats is the answer to the question. What's a low maintenance pet? Rats. They say rats are the smartest, cleanest, easiest first pet for people that never owned pets before, that those are the best first pets for people.
That's fantastic.
And I know,
yeah, my wife
ahead.
had 2 rats growing up, so I think she's going to love your answer to that question. I didn't realize that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think I talked to Kate about it, right?
She loved her rats. Yeah.
And, when you don't know that and you're young, and I consider myself back in 2004 or whatever to be young and not really have any experience with rats, I just thought that they were gross like everybody else.
Like New York rats from like the sewer,
like
the pizza.
a sewer rat.
Yeah, right.
Something dirty.
But that's not the rat's
gross.
fault. They're just surviving,
It is. And now if I see a rat outside, I don't think of it the same way. Like it's like an outside cat or a squirrel, or, it's like, to me, it's the same. It's just an animal. But the pet rats are exactly like they were described in the class. When I have had the opportunity, and I don't have a rat, I want a rat. I've always wanted a rat. Not always, but since I learned these things. And, my wife has been hesitant to allow me to have a rat, but I promise you I will have my rat. And if anybody wants to listen back to some previous episodes of the Pet Peeves podcast, guest Travis Van Ryn, he grew up with rats, and that's one of our most popular episodes.
Okay.
So I know that there's a lot of rat lovers out there. Very surprised, but that's one of our top episodes. I don't know if you knew that. But
I didn't realize that the Travis one with the rats. I didn't know that. Yeah.
It's like top 10 of, which is pretty incredible, because most of the time we
gotta have him back
rats.
on. Talk more about rats. Yeah.
So rats, they say, because they're very clean, they don't smell bad, they take care of themselves. They'll like in the corner of their den or whatever, wherever you're keeping them, they'll poop in the corner, and they don't like make messes, and that they like, you can let them run around their environment and they'll come back like a cat to use the restroom in the same spot. And then the same thing, that they clean themselves like a cat, and that they're just really smart, that you can train them to do things.
They do the cat thing where they like lick their paw and then on their face.
They groom themselves. Yeah. Huh. Very, very, very good. So I think low maintenance pet. Cats, I think, are low maintenance, but cats, I think, are neglected in a lot of ways.
The cuddles are not necessarily inevitable. You got to earn those. You got to earn those with a cat. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But we're talking about
and then when they're real, low maintenance. But you know what? You and I, before the Pet Peeves podcast ever started, you told me about how you would get a little angry about people who would buy a cat because they heard the cats are low maintenance, and that means that they would just basically abandon them, like neglect them, leave for long weekends. And I actually cat sit for someone here in Belgium who did that and just left their cat there in an apartment, closed, no outdoor option, no nothing. And this kitten was just not okay, was so neglected that it was like freaking out, wanted to see people, And so when we cat sit, we spend a lot of time there because we're like, this poor cat is just being neglected.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that. So yeah, you're preaching to the choir here. It's exactly why I don't like telling people that cats are easy pets, because then they get one and think that they could just leave it alone for days at a time. And people don't realize that yes, a cat is a low maintenance pet if you maintain it well. That you have multiple litter boxes, that you're changing the litter every single day. That you don't need to change it every day. You need to clean it every day. And actually, you should be cleaning your litter boxes multiple times a day. So the rule of thumb is every time your cat uses a litter box, you should be cleaning it out. So if you walk by your litter box and there's poop or pee in there, clean it out. We get it. You got to go to work. We get it. You might, come home the next day, but clean it out as soon as you can. So if someone's leaving their cats home 2, 3, 4 days in a row, home alone, there's no way they can do that. And so the cats, they might not suffer directly, but inevitably they're going to have bad litter box habits. And then that's what causes people to want to get rid of their cat, because the cat's peeing in the corner or peeing in their closet or peeing on the, your tax papers or whatever. And a lot of it is because they're not properly maintaining that cat. So to tell somebody that a cat is a low maintenance pet is not completely, it's just less maintenance than a dog.
No, I don't even necessarily. I mean, like, I know you're the professional, but I've had both. I don't necessarily agree, because having a dog will sleep all day. You know what I mean? And then just like need to go to the bathroom outside, need to be fed at a certain time, but you can get a robot feeder for a dog. You can get a backyard for a dog. There's a lot of like dog neglect that if you do it right, the dog doesn't live a terrible life, you know? And that's a low maintenance pet at that point. Our greyhound growing up, that's a low maintenance pet. A greyhound sleeps all day. Our cat needs attention constantly. A cat naps, like cat naps are real, but our cat needs a lot of attention. So we have all the robots to help. But yeah, we got to clean that litter. And the cat tells you when the cat's angry. The cat tells you when things are unsatisfactory. She is like choosy about customer service around here. You know, she lets you know. As far as low maintenance, as far as the abandonment, I mean, Kate just went out to the supermarket just an hour, like 5 minutes before we started recording. And the cat started screaming at the door. Like cats don't like being left alone. So I'm calling cats high maintenance right now. I'd rather tell someone that and then they don't get a cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to answer. It's almost like no pets are low maintenance because even my fish, they need maintenance. My bearded dragon needs maintenance. Like they all need maintenance. I was just going to ask you that next.
Tell me about the fish thing. I've never had a fish.
The fish is hard because they need to be fed every day. They need to be fed every day. So someone has to come feed them.
Can you get like a robot thing to do?
I don't know. Does that exist? A robot feeder for fish?
I've looked it up before. I think they exist.
I bet it does. I mean, it's probably not far-fetched. I have a robot feeder for the cat. And,
do fish need attention? Do they like being spoken to? Do they like...
I learned a lot about fish at your wedding in Belgium from one of the guys I met there.
From Ricardo,
Ricky, that he was telling me that absolutely they like attention. Absolutely they like interaction and stimulus, and that they do benefit from conflict because it's good for their blood pressure and blood flow. That like if fish are alone with no stimulation, that they don't fare as well because they never have any peripheral blood flow, like to their fins. Because it takes their blood pressure to increase because they think they're going to fight or run, you know, the fight or flight reactions.
Yeah.
And that they don't get that if they're not stimulated. So yes, they do need some interaction.
It's like animals need stimulation. It's like the question, which pets are low maintenance? The answer is basically, we can tell you the ones that are the most low maintenance, but realistically, you get a pet, that's some responsibility. You're committing to something.
Oh, yeah. And I guess, yes, there are automatic fish feeders. I just looked it up. Of course there are. I don't even know why I bothered looking it up.
Yeah.
But
yes, your bearded dragon, can you elaborate on that too? Because again, I've never had a bearded dragon.
He's tough. He's really tough because if you leave him in the terrarium, he will just lay there and sleep a lot. But that's not good for them. They need exercise. They're like if you see a bearded dragon in the wild, they're running around, they're climbing trees, they're chasing bugs. They're living a life. They're fighting. They're looking for mates. So for us to keep our bearded dragon in the terrarium, just because he'll sleep all day is not what's good for them. So what I've summarized and looked up, you know, I've done some internet research and figured out for myself that the more we take him out of his terrarium and let him interact with us and the dog and the cat, the more friendly he is, the more used to the environment he is. And honestly, in my opinion, the smarter he is because he's learned how to navigate his environment. He's learned how to interact with us too. And he knows how to find where he wants to go, which I think is more important than, he could get from one end of the room to the other, but not just that. He'll go from where his cage is to where the sun spot is outside on the patio. So he goes through the dog and cat door, the little doggy door, goes through it just like the dog and cat do, goes outside, finds a sunspot, lays in it. When the sun goes away, he moves to a different spot. When the sun moves, he moves to a different spot. When it gets too cold, he goes back to where his terrarium is so we could put him back inside. And then if he doesn't want to be in his terrarium, he puts up a huge fight. Like if I try to put him in there and he doesn't want to go, he fights, he pushes, he puts his arms out to the side like a dog that doesn't want to take a bath.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And then when he wants to come out, he has even pushed the lid off of his terrarium and climbed out on his own before.
Goodness.
So as much as he's pretty stoic and will lay around and do nothing, he also likes attention. He's very looks around. He's very curious. He's always trying to figure out what we're doing. If we're sitting over here.
Well, speaking of the cuddly question we just had, he's climbed up on you a lot and he likes pets.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. That's how I knew he was bonding with us because I had never had a bearded dragon before. But one day he was on the other side of the room and he ran up to my foot and climbed up on my shoe. And I was like, "Is that a coincidence? Did that just happen on accident? Was I just in his way, you know?" So then I moved him to the other side of the room and went on the other side of the room and he did it again. I sat on the floor and he ran up my lap and onto my chest.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he loves me.
That's pretty clear behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then he likes to be right here. Like if you put him on your chest, he'll come under your neck like a cat does.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? Because that's what
exactly.
And he'll try to nuzzle in there.
That's
like I know the next questions are asking about cats or pets that cuddle.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But what's this one? Low maintenance pets? I don't know. It's really hard. I don't think there are any low maintenance pets. There's just some pets that are less maintenance because you've trained them well, because you have a good system, because you have some consistency, because you've done something to control their environment and their eating and their exercise and their socialization, that you're allowed to step away for a day or two. But hopefully you have a pet sitter, like as well trained as my pets are. And I know I can leave them alone. I would never leave my pets alone for too long, because they need interaction, they need stimulation, and I need to know that there's no emergencies happening. They're like children. This is something we've talked about in other episodes.
Right.
My dog is only 7. You would never leave a 7-year-old home alone for days. You know what I mean? And you're saying like, the dog in human years is 49. Like, no, she isn't. She's still a 7-year-old.
She's a 7-year-old
dog.
Entity.
You can't leave her alone for very long. And just like the cat is 3. You can't leave them alone very long. And that's the other part of it. Like, regardless of how well they're trained or what automatic feeders you have or water fountains and automatic cleaning litter boxes and all that, you're not going to know if something went wrong if you're not there.
Look, and one of the things that concerns me, and this is going to come off as a little judgy, but I'm a little judgy, and this is one of the most Googled questions about pets this spring. And it makes me think there's a bunch of people that want to go pet shopping and they Google this question. They Google this question.
What pet can I get and go on vacation?
Right. What pet can I get and basically not have any responsibility? And that's me being judgy. I'm scapegoating millions of people who've Googled this. But, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, people could be Googling it with different motivations. But it just makes me, if we can use this podcast to really remind people, if that's your motivation, don't get a pet. If that's your motivation, volunteer at a shelter and get your pet fixed. Don't
even get a plant.
Yeah. Talk to your friends who have pets and pet sit for them. Learn a little bit about it, and learn that it's going to take maintenance. It's going to you answered a question last Q&A episode about it was an answer to the question of like which pet can pets teach responsibility? And it's like, no, but you can learn responsibility and be a good pet owner as a result. But don't use the pet to teach you responsibility. Don't get a pet because it's the least maintenance of all the pets.
Absolutely. Yeah, but I think the people that do look at it that way are not long for the pet world, like you were saying. So they should go to a shelter and see what all the other people who wanted a low maintenance pet ended up doing with those poor animals. Maybe foster a pet, then see what it's like, and then maybe go find yourself something that makes sense for you.